Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Good evening, everybody. It is Saturday night, which means it is time for any given entry here at drroto.com, where we go over single entry, smaller tournament strategy, and we win money, Justin. We win money. Last week, if you were following the show, we had a heck of a lineup. It won us money. Hopefully, it won a bunch of you money. Some people in the Discord over at drroto.com said that it did, and we are happy for you. Well, I am Johnny Danger from drroto.com. With me, Trust Trevor, which we'll get to you in a moment, and of course, Justin from Just DFS. How's everybody?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited for talking about what we did and what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Let's see here. First questions first. Trevor, are you tired of talking about winning $100,000 last weekend yet?
Well, yeah, I was out last night with my buddies, and it kind of got my buddies knew, and they kind of spilled the beans to some people. But yeah, it's fun. It's a weird experience. I'm still kind of pinching myself because I can't believe it happened.
Trevor, what kind of friends do you have when you're out at the bar and they make it mention that you won $100,000 and then you got to buy a round? I mean, that's just some jerk kind of friends. Not gonna lie.
I had a designated driver, so I had a few rounds. I bought a few rounds last night, so that was fun. And well, I didn't really wake up till 1 o'clock this afternoon. I had to listen to all the doc stuff and Friday Night Lights this afternoon, but I worked nights the night before, so I didn't have hardly any sleep this week. So I needed a good 12 hours of crashing. So
absolutely. Well, we'll discuss that first. Here you are, Trevor, whose middle name is Adam. That really is Trevor's lineup. $100,000. Was that Sunday night or Monday night, Trev?
That was Monday night. It was kind of weird because it went from winning $1,000 to $100,000 basically on one play at the end there. And I just wanted to make sure that Houston got the ball back so Stroud could get up over the mark there, and he did. So it's kind of one of those, you could win 1,000 or 100,000, and it changed just like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a big win. That's awesome. I know that we're here talking about single entry in main slates, but this was a single entry. Now this was a $444 single entry, but it was a single entry. What was your thought pattern putting this together with one single entry for a showdown?
Well, I used DFS Hero a little bit on this one, but they had a different guy at the captain mode. But I know Schultz was 8%, and I liked his matchup against Seattle because I figured he was going to have a good game. And I foolishly thought the Texans were going to win because I didn't like the point spread. I thought it was too obvious for Seattle. So I thought, I'm going to play the Texans defense because everybody else had Seattle's defense. But, if you take 8% of 500, so you're down to 40 people. And then my goal was if I had the tight end, I'm expecting a big game from the tight end. And that means their big receiver, Nico, is out of my lineup because I'm not going to play both guys against Seattle. Plus Seattle had their top corner. So that wipes out another 60-70% of people from this lineup. And then you play the Texans defense. The Texans defense and Stroud were really what got me over. The Texans defense only had 5 points with about 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And they got a strip sack touchdown in the end zone. And then Seattle beautifully in the fourth quarter decides up 15 points that they're going to throw a couple more interceptions. So without them playing dumb football, I don't win. I win maybe $1,000. So, I mean, that's just how these single slates like this, that's how it changes. So I've had a lot of close calls in my time. Last year, if the Eagles run off the clock in the Super Bowl, I win $291,000 on one of these because it was $1 million for first. I would have tied with 4 people because I faded the field. And this time it worked out. It came for me. So eventually I was going to hit one, and thankfully I did.
Yeah, beautiful, man.
Enough about that. Let's get on to this week.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, let's look at something else, though, guys. Last week, this was the lineup that we put in our show. This show last week, we ran it down. We made our selections, and I would say that 212 points for me for $600 for a $27 entry, single entry, 1,000 people in the pool. And this is the lineup last week, gang. This is the one. This is the one that the three of us put together. Single entry, single bullet, and it did pretty well.
Yeah, I think when I went back and looked at several contests, because I was in a lot of different single entry contests, it returned 14 to 17 times your buy-in, depending on what type of contest you enter.
That's right. And this is kind of the point of this show, right, guys? We're trying to talk about what makes single entry different. And this wasn't anywhere close to the score to win the Millie Maker. The Millie Maker was like 260. I mean, that's what it's been pretty much all year. This isn't going to win you a 100,000 entry tournament. This isn't going to win you 150, entry max tournament, but we're talking single entry. We're talking, you look down the list and you don't have any what ifs, right? Every single one of these players was bound to have a good game. Ertz was our lowest scoring guy. But he had the matchup against Dallas. He had the targets that he had getting into the game. Now, he had those 12 points, I think, in the first quarter,
Yes.
Justin.
Yes, he did. It was definitely a lot of opportunity left. It just didn't go his way.
Yep. But it all worked out. So this is what we're talking about, guys. We're talking about when you're single entry lineups, you don't want to have to talk yourself into somebody. They all need to make sense. They all need to be in the right spot. They all need to have the opportunity. We're not doing pump plays or what I like to call tipsy picks. If you're reading any of my big GPP articles, we're making plays that make sense. Even the Panthers defense was going against the Jets. It all made sense. So anyways,
if I may, real quick, a good segue just on your comments too. Cash games was a thing that people talked about a ton years ago as a way of being stable and building your bankroll and that sort of thing. I think most people would agree with me that cash games really has lost its lust and lost the edge. The huge trains from large tout sites make it hard. And this is kind of a substitute for those cash games where you can be a little safer, still get a good return on your money without having such a low odds of winning bigger money, or more often, I should say.
Absolutely. Well, gang, we had some nice green screens this week. A lot from these plays here, a lot from Friday Night Lights and Trevor show with Doc on Wednesday, a lot from our Discord play. I had a little fun on Thursday night where I took down first place in the chalk donkey, lineup. This is what happens when all the guys that are supposed to score when you play 150 lineups, Trevor, is the chalk hits. And first place in this contest was, I think, $5,000. Actually it was more than that. I think it was $20,000. So you can see how many people shared that lineup with me, to split it that far down. It was a good week. It was a good week. All right, let's see here. Let's get on to this week's cheat sheet, shall we, guys? All right, first thing I notice here is outside of Bo Nix, Justin, we're going value at quarterback this week, and I can ask you a few questions about that. One, I don't know that a lot of the top end guys are in super, super good spots this week. Two, if you look over to the right and you see how high priced the running backs are, and look below and see how high priced some of the wide receivers and smash spots are, we just got to save money at quarterback this week, Justin.
Yeah, I looked a few minutes for some type of meme or emoji image to put alongside the QB list there, because I knew the pricing of the majority of those was going to be a topic of conversation. But I mean, you pretty much said it. If you're looking to spend money on good plays at the other positions, it really leaves you thin at quarterback. And we'll get to a thought process a little bit later that we've had once before already this year for a couple of reasons. But yeah, it ain't the prettiest. There are not a lot of the high price guys. A lot of people were hype about Lamar being back, but for those who don't know, he is not going to play. You got Allen and Hurts, big names, but I just couldn't find a way to have the lineup that I was looking for without the what ifs that you were mentioning a few minutes ago with paying up at QB.
couple of housekeeping here. One, I forgot to put the banner up, but we are running through the end of October with promo code Trevor at Dr. Roto, 20% off to celebrate his win instead of the 10% off as normal. And then I would be remiss if we didn't say that we had comments before the show started this week, guys. People are excited for the show. I love it. People were getting in line to be first one there. We had Jerry Blake about 10 minutes before we actually went live, saying that he's waiting. And then we have Stephen Gardner here. Trevor, this one's for you. Congrats, Trevor. Great win. Maybe you can use the money to buy the Vikings some heart.
Well, when you win that type of money, Vikings loss doesn't seem to hurt as bad.
Doesn't seem to hurt as much. That's funny. Trevor, are you on board with cheap quarterback? Obviously, this show is meant to be for single entry. In GPP, though, before you get into this, can I ask you a question? My article I wrote, the way to get different this week is maybe paying up at quarterback and not taking guys named Bijan or Taylor at running back.
Well, you're taking a big risk by not taking those guys. I mean, they're in just great situations. When you look at the top QB, nobody's going to be playing Josh Allen. That does worry me a little bit because they're expected to score 27 points in the game. How they get there, I don't know. But if you play Allen, you're going to have to cut some of these other guys out. And I don't know if I'm going to do that. Now, when I wrote my article for the GPP article, which I had Lamar in there, but I only had 3 quarterbacks this week, and the other 2 were Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. Actually, with most of my lineup builds that I'm starting with, it's Spencer Rattler because you can't run on Tampa. They play a fast pace, and he's going to throw the ball 40 to 50 times. I mean, he's going to have 40-plus attempts. I don't see any way around that. So the options are going to be there, and you got Olave, you got Shaheed, and I just like that matchup. And with Rattler, you can get your running backs that you want because I can't have a lineup without Bijan Robinson in it. I think he's going to be in 100% of my lineups. I just don't see any way around it. So to get those guys in, you're going to have to pay down a quarterback. And I do like Bo Nix at 6,000. I'm a volume player, so I'm playing a lot of lineups. So I'm going to have a lot of mix and match. But if you had to have one lineup or 2 lineups, it's Spencer Rattler for me.
Fair enough. I mean, I like these guys. I've started. I'm playing in the 3 max this week. Is probably what I did that last week. I'll do the show lineup here, and then I'll build a 3 max. And of course, our family league that we play in. But I started all 3 just for fun yesterday, and all 3 had Bo Nix in it. I like it. I'm not afraid of Kirk Cousins, although I did hear maybe that Drake London might miss the game. Does that change your love of Kirk Cousins if Drake London misses the game?
Yeah, I actually hadn't caught that news either, but I
haven't
waiting.
even looked into it. I saw it on our Dr. Roto Discord. Somebody said if London doesn't play, how much do you like Mooney?
I just pulled it up and I'm going to take a look, but I was hoping to talk about Kirk Cousins just briefly before we moved on to running backs. And I was simply going to ask, am I wrong to be excited at him being the quarterback for the Falcons instead of Penix? I don't know. I mean, it's tight end week. Pitts, great athlete, not really overperformed too much in his career. London's obviously been doing well. Bijan gets tons of passes out of the backfield. I don't know. It's just something about Cousins coming in there and slinging it for $4,400 that gets me a little excited.
I can't disagree.
Yeah, and Huntley at 43 was another savings play, but I don't like him nowhere near as much as I do Cousins.
Falcons downgrade Drake London to questionable as of 4:08 today with a hip injury.
Yeah. The thing that worries me about Cousins is that I just think Atlanta's going to run the ball right down Miami's throat. But at 4,400, you can maybe fit in even another bigger piece than you can with other Rattler. It's about building the rest of the lineup. And Cousins is, we've seen him throw big time yardage before. I'm just wondering, can Miami fight a little bit in this game? So we need to have them fight a little bit so we can get some bigger points.
I think they can, and we'll move on to running backs. And obviously, I love your list. I love every player on that. They all made my article. Rattler was my tipsy pick at quarterback for the week, by the way, which I don't know that that's going to end up being tipsy. But at the time of writing, his ownership was low enough to call it that. The one missing out of this, which leads me into that last statement you made, Trevor, is I have a lot of love for Devon A-Chain this week, and I don't know where he ranked on your rankings outside of the 5 you put on the sheet here, but I do think that Miami can put up a fight.
Yeah, he is number 6. We obviously talked about it last week about how much volume he gets in the passing game. Who knows what that team coaching and offense will look like. They lost Waller. So, it's another couple of targets to go somewhere. I don't know if that's going to be Waddle or Achane, but he is number 6 on the sheet. So he just missed the cut. So not far off there. Slightly better than middle of the road matchup. The game's pretty low as far as totals and whatnot, but I definitely could see his volume getting his value.
So my only thing here is White grades out well in both DFS Hero, Paydirt, both the ones that I look at. My one issue with Rattler and my one thought with White is these guys know each other really well. Division game. Sometimes you see these end up being kind of grinders instead of fast-paced games. I do like Rachaad White a lot. I think we like the game. I think we like it a lot. I mean, I like Rattler quite a bit. But can you see it going wrong, Trevor? Can you see this game not going right?
Well, yeah, you can see it not going right because New Orleans, you don't know what you're going to get from them. But I just know that they're going to have to throw the football a lot in this game if they want to stay in it. And they played pretty, their offense has been okay. It struggled at times, but at home, I like them a lot better at home. And they're just going to have to throw the ball a lot. But yeah, you can always see it fail because it's not like Spencer Rattler's this big name guy that you can count on for 20 fantasy points every week. I personally think he's going to get there. But
yeah, well, it's inside, on the fast track. There's you say go wrong, depending on what your definition of that is. Is it Tampa Bay gets up huge and it's a blowout? I don't think that's bad for White or New Orleans passing game. The only thing that could go wrong is if somehow New Orleans gets up big, and I still think that bodes well for White. But obviously, I guess if they get up big, it has to come from somewhere, and Rattler could be a part of it. So even if it goes, let's say, not according to plan, I still think the Rattler and White could pay off.
So a couple of people I want to ask you about here. Cam Scatterbo, Philly has been susceptible this year. Cam's on a trajectory, which we could say is quite positive right now. I had a little bit of looking at him when I was building my first few lineups. He didn't make any of the lineups, but I looked at him just a tiny bit there. And also on the Carolina side, do you think that they continue to basically split the ball even between Hubbard and Rico? Because it is a dream matchup. Buffalo's been absolutely shredded on the ground all year long.
Yeah, so I'll comment on the Carolina scenario, then Trevor can comment on Scatterbo. But I was watching last week, the Panthers, that is, with anticipation of how are they going to use the 2 running backs? What are they going to do? Before the game, you had seen comments about, Dowdle saying that the offense was not his. It belonged to Hubbard. And then I saw a few times they found themselves in a tough situation, and Dowdle bailed them out when Hubbard could not. So I really don't know. I think it's too unpredictable, especially for single entry slates. It is a great matchup, but I couldn't put my money or couldn't decide to put my money on either of the 2. So I think it should be Dowdle, but who knows what they're thinking.
I think it should be Dowdle too. He just looks better. And I'm just going to say, if you're one of those people, if you're a Carolina Panther fan, you want to play Dowdle or Hubbard, whoever you want to play. I'm not going to play him in DraftKings, but if you're wanting to play Dowdle, you go over to FanDuel because he is priced dirt cheap. He's like the 27th price running back on the slate. He's way down there. He's 20th. That's where you want to play Dowdle. So if you want to play Dowdle, go to FanDuel, but not for DraftKings. The Scatterboo, Philadelphia is not susceptible to run when Jalen Carter's in there. He's playing. So the times they got run on is when he's been out. He's back. I expect Philly for revenge. So I don't have much hope for any of the Giants, but they seem to fool me every time because they are playing some good football. They got some excitement there, but I'm just not going to go with those guys tomorrow.
Last situation I want to ask you about, Breece Hall every single week looks great in every single stat category, projected stat category, but you just can't do it every week. However, it's a really awesome matchup. My question is not about Breece Hall. My question is, if they scratch Breece Hall, is Isaiah Davis at 4,200 in play?
So first couple comments. I made the mistake last week in the danger season long of taking out Olave and putting in Breece Hall because I wanted to be safer. And I watched that Jets game with fury in my eyes as they would not throw the ball to him when he was opening the check down in the flat. It just was very hard for me to watch and stomach. And I know this is a Cardinal sin in DFS, but I said I was never going to play him again. So I started sweating when you first started talking about him, and I was you glazed past it though. I digress. Your comment wasn't about him. However, if he is out, the matchup being so good, I would take a look for the salary savings at Allen.
All right, let's keep on moving. Any other running backs you like that are not on this list, Trevor, in the single entry format?
Not really. My guys that I like are more GPP guys, and I just realized Tyrod Taylor's not playing tomorrow.
Correct.
I mean,
yeah, back to Justin Fields.
back to Justin Fields, which really to me puts a damper on. If Tyrod Taylor was playing, I would like Breece Hall because the Bengals are that bad defensively. They are brutal, but I just don't know now. If Fields playing, I have really no interest much in the Jets, but I'd laugh. Well, I wouldn't laugh. I'd be upset if the Jets were the team you needed to have, but I don't think that'll be the case.
Well, I was going to say, what are the odds that Fields plays with the chip on his shoulder after being replaced, his last-ditch effort to hold on to the starting role there, and slings it like crazy and does well?
And there's now nobody to pull his chain out and replace him with. He's gonna be He's gonna, unless he gets hurt, he's playing this whole game.
Yeah. He could rush for 100 yards on his own against a team like the Bengals, depending on.
Early in the year, I was hyped for Fields and hoped that he would do well, and he showed some glimpses the first 2 weeks maybe, but then it just really got out of hand.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver. So we've got this problem, guys, where we like these $8,000-$9,000 running backs, and we like these $8,000 wide receivers. So we might have to get into the middle. Honestly, all the big wins this year that I've paid attention to are all coming with wide receivers in the 5,000 range. So you haven't had to pay up for wide receiver. I think, did I hear that Sauce is going to miss the game, Trevor?
He's out.
Yeah, Sauce is out. So Jamar Chase is going to get 14, 15, 18, targets, probably minimum, maybe more. I don't know. The problem is can the Jets put enough pressure on to keep Cincinnati rolling? But CeeDee Lamb, I think he's uncoverable, even with Surtain or whoever might be covering him for Denver. And of course, I like Bo Nix and that crew a lot. So if I'm playing Nix and Sutton, I probably start leaning a little heavier into Lamb. Devonta Smith, you've got no AJ Brown. Chris Olave continues to either get 12 targets or 2 touchdowns every single week. So you can't argue that. I'm a little back on, honestly, go back up to quarterback. The guy I kind of like, if you want to get off of chalk or cheap, is Drake May, and a lot of that is because Stephon Diggs grades so well this week, Justin.
Yeah, he does, and I started looking too. Butte actually shows to have the slightly better matchup for cornerbacks. Could pull up who that was, but yeah, Butte with Campbell on him, and Diggs was very close with Denzel Ward. So I know Cleveland's front and defense overall has been good, but those two are showing pretty well in my metrics. But I'll have to go back to quarterback to see exactly where May was. But yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Trevor, what do you think about Diggs against the Cleveland Browns? Any interest?
Yeah, I'm slightly interested. I like Butte too. One of those guys is going to show out because to beat the Browns, you have to pass the football. So, yeah, I like one of those guys. Diggs could be the guy, and it could be Butte. So,
So I'm actually a little surprised to see Io Manor there this week. He hasn't popped up on anything that I've looked at. When I'm getting cheap, I'm looking at Mims again, who continues to be underpriced for their matchup with Dallas. So tell me why you like Elliott.
So I think I had him in week 2 or week 3, just because the data told me to. I didn't know too much about him, and he scored a touchdown in that game. And I've continued to watch him on the struggling Titans team. I would dare say Ward has gotten progressively better, albeit slightly. Not making any leaps or anything. But the matchup in the air I have as the best on the week. So then I started looking at what options to catch the ball would that be, and target share, target percentage, yards per target, air yards. I like the way he looks on the field, and I like the way the numbers stack up for him. And for $3,900, I always throw a cheap person. Typically, I have to go down my list a little ways to find that 3K guy that I put here with the cheap tag on him, but not so much this week. So I don't know what that all is going to show, but it says a lot and bodes well for him this week.
I mean, this list makes a lot of sense to me, Trevor. But who's missing for you? Who's your cheap guy? Who's your salary relief? Because you got a wide receiver. If you're going to play Taylor and
it's
Robinson,
going to be Tez for the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
Tez Johnson would be the one guy I would want. But I agree with the Alec Iamanar because somebody from the Colts is going to get, or somebody from the Titans is going to get some good yardage because the Colts don't mind giving up plays underneath. They have no worry about that. So they'll probably be playing from a lead. Ward will probably throw for 250 plus yards. But for me, Tez Johnson, I like him tomorrow.
So for the wide receivers, guys, when I do my my article, which is all about pivoting off chalk, which is funny because I do this show with you guys, which basically is trust in the chalk. It's a very different philosophy. So 3 of the top 5 ownership projected plays at wide receiver this week are all 3 Colts wide receivers. I see none of them are on your list. I think Jonathan Taylor's the smashest hit outside of Bijan Robinson to get 100 yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns. Is it just, what I've played a lot this year, right, is play anyone against Tennessee, including the defense of that team against Tennessee. And it has done me pretty well this year. So is this just people are clicking the buttons because the matchup is so good? Or is there any love at all on your list, Justin, just outside of the ones that you listed for any of the Colts wide receivers?
I started looking when you said that because it was kind of shocking to me. And somewhere 20-ish or so, you have Pittman, and another 10 down from him is Pierce, and then another 3 or 4 down from him is Downs. Obviously, I'm not real sure outside of Taylor, who's obviously the dominant offensive player other than Daniel Jones. And then it could be Warren or maybe Pittman, but then those other receivers are below that. And, Pierce is he going to catch the 50-yard bomb this week? Maybe.
Maybe they stack the box and Warren escapes off to the side for a quick touchdown.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the trouble there. I don't really have it as a great matchup. It's a top third matchup, so it's not terrible. But, I think the ground game's going to get it done because that matchup is much better. And then you pick Pittman and, he'll get some drags across the middle for 5-7 yards, or you could play Downs, who gets a sideline ball thrown a couple of times and don't catch it, or you play Pierce and he doesn't connect on the long ball, and then you lost out.
Sure.
Whichever way you chose to go.
I think there's going to be 5 touchdowns in this game. I think 3 of them are Taylor's, and I think one of them is the Colts defense on a Cam Ward boo-boo. So that leaves one for the other pass catchers.
That'll be Warren.
Yeah, I have no interest in the Colts receivers at all in this game. It's either Warren or Taylor for sure, and then Warren, because I'm glad that there's a high chalk on the Colts receivers. Let everybody else play them, because I'm not going to be one of them. And if I get beat by him, I get beat by him.
Guys, 31 it's really hard to not go back to Sutton for me. I know, Trevor, between you and I, Sutton was in 1,500 lineups last weekend, and that's not an exaggerated number. So I like Sutton a lot. It's going to be real hard for me to not click Devonta Smith without A.J. Brown in at $5,900. It's going to be real hard not to click $5,800 Chris Olave, who just keeps getting opportunity after opportunity. I don't know that I'm going to be able to pay up for Lamb or Chase unless I'm only going to play one of the top end running backs. But I really like CMC again, Justin. I just do. I mean, I know both you and I are 49ers fans, but there's no better lock button for exactly 24 to 27 points a week than Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and last week, rushing touchdowns, rushed the ball way better than they have all season. A lot of people were saying it was because Kittle was out there. Hard to argue that, the way he blocks. And, when somebody sees him pancake a D end, they get fired up themselves and they block a little harder next play. I definitely think there's something to that. And if McCaffrey starts scoring rushing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns, I mean, 10K again, 30 points a game. I mean, it's coming.
It's coming. Hey, this is a good one here. Brian Goodwin says, had to take a Xanax to relax after listening to Heat and Fuego. That is the truth, my friends, but with Justin's slow Southern drawl and Trevor's Wisconsin cheese curd loving voice up there, I think you've come to the right place to come back down to earth here, my friends.
That's funny.
That is.
Love it. Those guys, hey, look, I don't mean to make a play on Heat and Fuego, but those guys have been on fire so far this year. And I tell you what, I don't know anything about NBA, guys, but I've won a couple $100 over the last week of NBA just listening to Fuego Steve. So get in our Discord. He shows you his lineups, and they just keep winning. So be there.
I'll have to stay tuned and on those, and maybe one of his lineups will make a high dollar single entry.
Yep. He does short slates more than the full slates. So he likes short slates, which I do too. I'm a big short slate fan. All right, let's get into tight ends here. You do have Tyler Warren up there. If it's not a touchdown from Taylor, he's probably the most likely guy in that game to get that touchdown. Dallas Goedert always shines when one of either Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown misses a game, and at $4,200, he's perfectly playable. We talked about Pitts. I think that Kirk Cousins makes Pitts a better play this week. $3,900. Cousins loves throwing to tight ends, has his whole career. Cade Otton, when you're missing, your two top, one top, I guess Ibuka's back. I kind of like Ibuka this week, but we already passed up wide receivers. Dalton Schultz has been showing out. We're missing Nico. So, that's important. Juwan Johnson. I might ask you this, Trevor. So Friday Night Lights, guys, I don't know if they talked about it Friday night because I missed the show last night, but I'm in a chat with those guys, and they were kind of smitten with the $2,900 Taysom Hill. I just can't do it. I don't think that they're using him like they have been. And for $400 more, you can get a guy who actually is getting 6-7 targets a game.
If I'm going to go down to $2,900 for him, I would, maybe now with Lamar out, I would go down to $2,600 for Isaiah Likely, because he's fully healthy now and he's dirt cheap. But I don't have much love for Taysom Hill. Maybe he does something in this game. He is they do like to put him in that game, and it charges up the crowd because the crowd really likes him when he comes in. But for me, I just can't get there. I think the Saints are realizing that Juwan Johnson has to be that guy. Their offense runs smoother when he's getting the volume, and I think that's just the way it's got to go.
Justin?
Yeah, I thought you were going to start the tight end section with popping the confetti and doing the party graphics on the screen. Uh, I don't know how much you read in the narrative, but tight end week is upon us. So what does that mean? That's probably why I put a couple more guys on this tight end list than I normally do. But as you ran through them, they're all for good reason. Tyler Warren's obviously been sensational, 31 team total in that game. Super high. Goddard, no. AJ Brown, already a good tight end without that being the case. I do agree with Pitts, which is kind of what I alluded to earlier with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. I probably played Pitts more in season long and DFS over the years than my money would have liked me to. But just something about his, stature and skill set. Otten, obviously, Egbuka's the only one there. Tez is a great cheap play, but no Evans, no Godwin. Schultz just won Trevor $100,000. Sorry, I had to throw that in there again. No Nico. Jawan Johnson, I think I just threw him up there because I wanted to get more tight ends being tight end week, but obviously getting targets important to that offense, and they're going to be chasing.
Well, you say it's tight end week. It's really been tight end year. I mean, the tight ends have been doing really good this whole season. So the only guy that I could see is Kincaid playing tomorrow because that's a good matchup against the Panthers. And as mentioned, Buffalo is predicted to score 27 points. It's got to come from somewhere. And I'm kind of on him if he plays, but I know he's got that questionable tag. So I don't know if he's going to be playing or not. So if he's playing, I'm going to probably have him a little bit. But other than that, I really like the list. I was really high on Mason Taylor on the first look show, but now with Fields, I'm not.
Yeah,
and I hope that doesn't come back to bite. I hope that doesn't come back to bite to be off of him because he does have a questionable tag as well. But it's such a great matchup against the Bengals. But I just can't do it with Fields. And if I get beat by it, then I get beat by it, I guess. So, yeah, there's nothing really more that I like on this list other than Kincaid. Kittle's pretty cheap, too, but the Texans play the tight end pretty well, and they're probably going to use him to block more.
Mm-hmm. What was the stat, Justin? I think I saw it up. Somebody threw it up on Twitter this week. It was something like Kittle, every time he's scored less than like 3 fantasy points, he's come back with 14 or more the next week.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Something like that, but it's a tough matchup there. Hey, Trevor, I'm going to tell you how Taysom Hill succeeds. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You said you might play Rattler in all your lineups. If I play Rattler in all the lineups, Taysom Hill will score 2 touchdowns. So
if you're doing that, then I'm not playing Rattler.
Yeah, if you're playing Rattler, you better text me to not play Rattler.
I'm going to tell you right now not to play Rattler.
Done. Hey, Jerry Blake sent in his lineup. I think, he wants to show it off before we start doing ours. So he's got Cousin, Taylor, Bijan, McCaffrey, Higgins, Tez, Noel, Likely, Jets.
Yeah, I saw some love for Higgins when I was going through. Obviously, you're missing a huge market share of targets with Collins being out. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind that. Tez, so I'm gonna sound dumb.
I mean,
who is Noel?
He's the other guy. He's the other guy with Higgins and
okay.
Yep.
Sorry, but
both of those are rookies.
Got it. Yep. I mean, obviously he did the team jam them in with Taylor, Bijan, and McCaffrey, so that's 100 points there with those 3 guys. So off to a good start.
Yep. I will tell you, and I wrote it in my article, every time I have thought that the 3 stud running backs needed to be squeezed in, and I've done it, it's never panned out for me in DFS. Not one time. Because you have to get uncomfortable by putting, Jalen Higgins and Noel in your lineups. And that's just, it makes it uncomfortable.
So if I may, I don't remember who made the comment in this show a few weeks ago on a slate that I felt was tough, reminding me that double tight end was an option. National tight end day, salary's pretty tight, high price running backs you want to fit in. I don't know that it's not a bad idea this week.
Double tight end's been viable all year long. I mean, in the Discord, Dr. Oda DrRoto.com's Discord, man. Every year it's a struggle to find people tight ends on the waiver wire, to find streaming tight ends, to help them score points at tight ends. That's not been the problem this year. There's 14, 15 tight ends getting the job done right now. So Jerry Blake said that was T. Higgins, not the other Higgins.
Oh, Jaden is who I thought he was going with.
Yeah.
Apologies.
You got T. Higgins. Well, that he could do well. I think if I can afford T. Higgins, I'm going to put somebody else in there. That's just me. We'll see when we make our lineup here pretty soon.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm ready for it, guys.
Same.
Well, let me pull it up just to remind everybody. 212 points in our any given entry last week, and it won. What'd you say? Anywhere from 14 to 16x, depending on the spot that you put it in. It certainly did for me. It took $27 and made it 600, so I was pretty happy about that. And we were that one like Sutton touchdown that he should have had away from that being a $2,500. 100 times the entry.
Yeah, it's unusual to see a receiver score 16.9 points without scoring a touchdown.
Yep, and he was close.
Oh yeah,
he was real close. All right, we're going to kick it off with the running backs. I don't even have to ask Trevor. He's going to tell me Bijan. He's going to tell me to put Bijan in the second running back spot, and he's going to tell me to put Bijan in the flex if I could as well. Am I right, Trevor?
Yeah, well, Bijan's a lock button play for me tomorrow. I'm pretty sure of that. I like him the best out of the three top backs. That's just me. Especially if Algiers out. Algiers questionable tag. So
Algiers questionable. London's questionable. Miami can put up some points. So I'm in. I'm in on Bijan over Taylor. One, because it's $700 cheaper. Two, because that game could just get out of hand fast. And what if it's not Taylor that makes that game get out of hand, and then he's sitting because Tennessee can't do anything? It's tough. All right, Justin, you pick the next running back, sir.
If we're going to stay at running back, I'm going to tell you to plug in Rachaad White.
Rachaad White. Why White over Henry? Tell me.
Obviously Henry at 6K. Yeah, 6K would be a much better play if he had gotten Lamar back. Yep. I do think a lot of the projections and the sites have been quite maybe had time to adjust to the news. I know the news was released earlier sometime today. I still think his projections are down. I know it's a pretty good matchup against Chicago, but he's got to show me first, and I know that's a bad mentality in DFS because you want to be the first to it, but you don't need to be the first in these type of contests. You do need to be the first in GPPs and mass multi-enter type tournaments, but let's see him get back going, and putting up 20 points, 25 points, because we need that if you're going to pay for him.
Trevor, I don't know about you, but when I fill out 150 later, I probably will be pretty heavy on Derrick Henry because $6,000 for a guy that can put up 20 plus points is good. He's got to get right at some point. If they still want a chance to make this playoffs, buddy, they got to win game without Lamar. And the only way that this team wins a game without Lamar is giving Derrick Henry 28 carries.
The only thing I worry about with this is the Bears now, they can just stack that line, and their defense is getting better and healthier. So if I'm the Bears, I'm selling out to stop Derrick Henry, and I'm making that quarterback try to beat you. So
yes, sir. And Trevor, I jumped the Bears way up my personal defense ranking today. So
yes, they go way up on the list.
Yeah.
So
I went through all my seasonal leagues and found them in 2 leagues that I could get them in and swapped them out. I have a lot of Seahawks. They've been very good to me and for points for defense, and so I don't want to drop them. So I ended up with a lot of both Houston and San Francisco this week in season long. All right, I can get behind that. I'm going to go ahead and take over the first pick here for wide receiver. I'm going to go to Devonta Smith. I think 5,900 there. I think he's a super safe play. He's got no A.J. Brown. It's a great matchup. I think 5,900 is criminally underpriced for the opportunity the guy's going to have.
I think that's, at wide receiver, the low-hanging fruit, all the stuff he's going to get this week. $5,900. Giants are going to put up a fight. Great matchup. I like it a lot.
I like it. All right, Justin, we'll go to you. We'll take your next wide receiver, sir.
Good. Well, I'm going to make y'all do it, whether you want to or not. We're going to go with Ayo Manor to save some money.
I'm not mad at it. All
I'm not
right.
either. I like to play. I mean, I really
Good.
do.
And it's an afternoon game, so it gets a double star from me.
That gets you hype.
That's right. Big hype. Trevor, fill out our last wide receiver, sir.
If I have to, I got to see where we're at money wise.
We don't have to. We can go to tight end. I mean, we can leave that last wide receiver spot.
Well, we can. I'm just wondering who, I think the lineup has to. I don't. What's your feeling, Justin? Does the lineup have to have Taylor and Chase, one of Taylor or Chase in it, or can we get by without one of those two?
I mean, getting Bijan, I don't think you have to squeeze in another extremely expensive person in Chase or Taylor.
Okay.
We could more balanced, is a decent mentality with the single entry, safer floor lineup. So I like that.
I mean, I'm pretty into these $4,000 quarterbacks you've got here. I don't think it'll be Cousins, because if I go Cousins, I'm going to want Pitts, and then it feels gross having Cousins, Bijan, and Pitts. But if you're not going to play Bijan, I think playing Cousins and Pitts is a great idea. So for me, I really like Spencer Rattler. I think he's the guy. I like him a lot, and if that's the case, we pair him up maybe with Chris Olave, and then
just going to say Olave. If we're going to go Rattler, then we pretty much have to go Olave, right?
Yeah, that's okay with me, Justin.
Yes, it is 100%.
All right, so let's drop Rattler in there. Let's drop Olave in there, and let's see what we got. All right, we need our tight end. We need a flex. We need our defense. We've got $4,800 per spot at the moment.
Should we pick the defense first out of them and then see where we're at, or no?
I think so. I think that's fine.
Yep.
I actually think that defenses are pretty well priced this week, to be honest. The Bears get a big bonus to me with Lamar being out, and now all of a sudden become an actual cheap option. I didn't like anything below them to begin with. In the GPP, I think I have some love for the Panthers, but I can't pull that off in a cash or a single entry lineup. But I like the Bears if we're saving money personally. If we're moving up from there, obviously Falcons are going to be the chalk. Patriots, Colts are going to get a lot of love. Where are you guys at?
Me personally, I'm fine with the Bears.
Yes. And the fact that Lamar was not playing, I don't think was factored in there. They've scored 8 points, 8.3, and I know fantasy points per game isn't a huge thing to bank on. They played New Orleans. They played a banged-up Washington. They played the Raiders. It's not super great. Dallas, Detroit, and Minnesota before that. But playing against a team without the starting quarterback, already being serviceable at $2,600, I'm certainly down for it.
What's up to you, Hollywood? Thanks for watching. So that takes us to $5,950 each. 11,900 remains for tight end and flex. I mean, I like pretty much everybody on this list. Again, I'll probably avoid Pitts because we went the Bijan route, but it's still not. I mean, it's still fine. We can go to Juwan Johnson to pair it up with our quarterback. We can go to Dalton Schultz, the $100,000 man.
My opinion, not double stack, and let's plug Schultz in at tight end. Then we can look at this flex position, see what we want to spend, and we could upgrade Schultz if we want to.
All right, dropping Schultz in leaves us $8,600. That can get us to Jamar Chase. That can get us to CeeDee Lamb. That can get us to Devin A. Chain.
I think it's a no-brainer for me. What about you, Trevor?
Are you think is your no-brainer named Jamar Chase?
100% it is.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at.
That's where I'm at too. All right, well, that leaves us $500. We could look at upgrading defense. We could look at upgrading Schultz, but I don't know that I like anybody in that range higher than Schultz. I mean, I have a little love for Hunter Henry against Cleveland. But,
Defense doesn't look worth the spend either, in my opinion.
And I'm okay leaving $500. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, anything much over that, I'd probably have a problem with. But yeah, no, I feel good about it.
And
Do
no
you have
Fred Warner means
over
this.
Tez Johnson? You must.
I'm sorry?
You have Io Manor over Tez just for your rankings? Or was it just price based?
Yeah, oh, well, it's both. Mostly price based versus where they fall at in the projections. I'm certainly down to entertain that. They are 2 apart, and I have very less than a quarter of a point higher for Ayo Manor.
Okay, then we'll keep them. I didn't know if it was just price based or if you had Tez had more points, but if Io Manor rates ahead of him, then perfect.
Well, I think what helps is that the matchup is also better. He's $400 cheaper, and their projection is, you might as well say it's exactly the same.
Okay, perfect.
So let me ask you a quick question. Look, I know we got Bijan in there. So Kirk Cousins and Mooney had a really good relationship. If Drake London misses the game, does Mooney move up enough to squeeze him in this lineup over Ayo Manor?
Let me look at Mooney's $4,400. I mean,
if London misses, that's my only question.
Yeah, I mean, if London is out, I could certainly see going up to Mooney. His projections aren't reflecting that, and if he was projected, let's say he gets 3 of the 8 targets that London was going to get, probably projects him up 4 points maybe, which certainly would make him a better play. The game environments, their team total is much higher, but I mean, the contingency there, I mean, I don't know. I kind of hope London plays to make the wide receivers more of a threat for Bijan's sake, but
I have a really good feeling about Ayo Manor tomorrow.
I like it.
I like it or not. All right, guys, I'm going to type this into the comments for everybody. Here is the show lineup. A reminder, last week's show, we hit 212 points. We 15x'd our money, and we came a very fingertip pass to Sutton in the end zone away from absolutely winning every tournament we put that lineup in. Of course, Trevor modified and changed that lineup, but I don't think he's too mad at it after Monday night, so it's fine.
Well, yeah, I ended up winning. I won about 6,500 on Sunday. So if I didn't change my lineup, I probably won about $9,000. I was kind of, you get a little greedy, but then after Monday night, I said, "Oh, the hell with it. I don't care."
Yeah,
right.
I'm not changing it this time. I'm not doing that. I don't know what I changed. Why did I change last time? I can't remember why I changed. There was something that bugged me after a while, and I just got to learn to go with the data.
It's true. All right. I have now typed the show lineup into the comments. We are playing Spencer Rattler at quarterback. For our 2 running back spots, we have Bijan Robinson. We have Rashad White. For our 3 wide receivers, we have Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave. We've got Dalton Schultz at tight end. We've got our flex at Ayo Manor, and our defense, the Chicago Bears.
The Bears. I like it. Let's win some money for everyone again.
Let's do it again. All right. We did it under an hour, guys. 53 and a half minutes.
We have goals.
We do have goals at times. All right, my friends. I'm Johnny Danger. You can find me and all of my stuff over at drroto.com. Between Trevor and I think we're basically on the air 7 days a week. Tomorrow morning in the Dr. Roto Discord, the absolute best thing in fantasy sports is Dr. Roto answering your start-sit questions from 10:30 Eastern to noon Eastern, every single one. Get in our Discord for it. Of course, use promo code Trevor until the end of the month to get you 20% off your drroto.com membership. And also find Justin as Just DFS over at Dr. Roto's Discord as well. But if you find him there, you can find his own Discord, which is free to join at Just DFS. I'm sure if you just type in his name up there at Just DFS Plus into Discord servers, you can find it. So hopefully we'll all see you next week, and we all won money again. Y'all take care.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck this weekend.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.